Today, we are going to go into how to give an opinion, specifically a supportive opinion, or how to agree with something someone else is saying. Some of you may already know the basics, such as saying something like, I agree with you, or I feel the same way. But today we're going to learn how to expound on that and give more details on our opinions. When giving your opinion on something, especially when you're not 100% sure that your opinion is also a fact, you can start off your sentence with saying something like, I think that blank. So for example, if you don't like the color of a couch, you could say something like, I think that couch should be a different color. Or, I don't think that couch looks very nice. You could also say something like, in my opinion, that couch would look better in blue. Let's go over those again. I think that blank. I don't think that. In my opinion. And then after these phrases, you could go ahead and fill in the blank after these initial phrases with what your opinion is. If you're asking for support or details about somebody else's opinion, you could say some things like, why do you think that? Could you please elaborate? Could you give me an example? Could you illustrate that for me? Let's go over those first ones again. 1. Why do you think that? Remember, tone is very important. There's a huge difference between why do you think that and why do you think that? Your tone of voice can make a huge difference that will allow the person to either want to open up to you about their opinion, or it can make them feel like they have to be defensive. Why do you think that? Could you give me an example? Could you elaborate? Elaborate means, could you tell me more? Can you illustrate that? To illustrate something means to give me an example. Next, you could say, what evidence do you have? This is if someone is claiming something to be true. They could be saying, there was a rocket in the sky this morning. To which I would ask, what evidence do you have? Do you have a picture of the rocket? Etc. This is great to use if you want to make sure the person is actually speaking facts. You could also say something like, could you explain it in more detail? I'm not sure that I understand. Could you provide some examples? Now we're going to go into supporting your own opinions. Some things that you may be able to say if you want to make sure someone knows that you are speaking what you believe and what you may believe is also facts. You can also say these things to provide examples or to show them that you know what you're talking about. 1. Let me illustrate. For example. For instance. To give you an example, let me give you an example. To elaborate. First, second, etc. These phrases could also be seen as responses to the previous questions we talked about when asking someone to give you examples or to elaborate on something. Let's go over those again and give examples of what we may be able to say. Let me illustrate. Then you could go into giving some facts. Let me illustrate. It would be as if blank and blank. For example. For example, yesterday I thought I saw a UFO. For instance. This is similar to for example. It's when you give an instance or a scenario where what you're talking about has happened or ended up being true. Another way to phrase that is, To give you an example, let's go back to our couch example. To give you an example, I have this couch and it looks much better in blue. Let me give you an example. That means the same as to give you an example. It just depends on how you feel most comfortable phrasing it. I always tell my students to pick something that may mean the same thing as the other one and hold on to that one. Perfect the one that you have chosen and stick to that phraseology so that you feel more confident and comfortable speaking that way. I would personally say, let me give you an example, but you can choose whichever one you feel the most comfortable with. To elaborate, this is when you could go into more detail. To elaborate, I think blue would look much better with the colors of the walls than this green color. And the example I gave with first, second, or third could be used if you're going to give a list of examples or facts to support your opinion. Remember that in all of these instances, it's great to be able to communicate your opinion and say how you feel. But it's also very important to watch your tone and make sure that the person you're talking to knows that you're willing and able to have a conversation openly and honestly without having to be rude and without having to feel like your opinion is the only one that matters. That will help you a lot be able to communicate in English, especially if it's your second language. All of the phrases we learned today can be followed up with details, examples, elaborations, or a summary of your main points. You can use these in day-to-day conversations or in work and professional settings. Great work today. I hope that you're going to be able to use these phrases soon and feel confident in doing so. Let us know how it goes in the comments down below. Keep up the good work and continue practicing, and you're going to see a huge improvement. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss a class and an opportunity to improve your English. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.